You're watching TVP World's special coverage of the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, and joining me now is Mr. Leon Weintraub, a survivor of Auschwitz. Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
First of all, when you think of Auschwitz, when you remember that place, what does that history mean to you?
Suffering, hunger, cold, but first of all, the terrible smell of the smoke, the smell of burnt flesh. Around the clock, day and night, this heavy black smoke with a terrible smell of burnt flesh filled everything. It was the worst, of course, before that they took me away from my family. We are coming from Ghetto in the town Ismanstadt, a town called Łódź, but in the order of Hitler, they changed the name for the general from the First World War, General Litzmann. This ghetto we have been in 4.5 years. And then it is a cynical way to work. The Nazis, the German Nazis, they told us, because the Soviet army already stay on the river Wisła, to take care of us, that we shouldn't come between the fronts and get damage. They liquidate the ghetto and move this in the safety, in the third reach, in the deep. I call this the 12 years of the 1,000-year reach. They call this the 1,000-year reach. That was enough with the 12 years from 1933 to 45. And they invited us to become of free will. We get a special ration of food. Anyway, they took us about 17, 18 of August. And then comes this disappointment, because they put it in cattle wagons. You could only stay close to each other. And my memory is the death silence. Nobody give the protest, the cry, or to show, because in this way, people are not brought to another place of work under such conditions. Something is wrong. It was day, night, another day, time long, to wait for other trains to pass by, to again to the front. And finally, the third morning, the door opens, and so special persons in pajamas, gray, white, striped suits, and they shout, "Out, out, out!" So I went out. I had my rucksack with and came a man. I see this face. You see, my memory is built up on images. I see a picture. I can describe every detail on this picture. And this face, I think, but my stamps. And this voice, "Stamps? You don't need here stamps. You didn't come here to live." And I thought, what does he talk about? We have been promised to come to new work, to work for the Wehrmacht, for the German army, for the German people. We produced a lot. We got paid for this in this paper mark in the ghetto. no words outside on a piece of paper. And then they showed the women to the right, men to the left. I waved to my mother, Mama, we see each other inside, but some inside will be. And on the walk to the front, to the group of assessment, I look in my eyes, the fence, the poles, the barbed wire, but not only this, even white isolators and wires. I was in the ghetto, my last work was as electrician. I recognized immediately it is electricity wires on the fence. Where have I been coming to? That the fence is with loaded, electrician loaded wires on the fence. Then we came this thumb. To the right, desk, not useful for work. To the left, death of some time, as long as he is able to work. So we become one-way tools. As long as we have been able to work for the Nazis, for the German Hitler Nazis, it was okay. In the very moment we have become sick or weak, couldn't anymore work, we have become liquidated. So it's one-way article to use. And then began the procedure of dehumanization, to take away from us all attributes of to be a human being. I suffered very much psychologically the first, divided from my family, my mother, my sisters, my aunt, and isolated because in this group of prisoners, this transport from the ghetto in Liesmannstadt, I didn't see not one known face, known from before. So I didn't open my mouth to speak with anybody because I didn't see any person I know from before. And this, I told you before, this terrible smell of burnt flesh around the clock. But still some part of my brain still wasn't some function. One day, after a few weeks, I saw between the block 16 and 18 a big group of naked men. I was very shy, but finally I dared to ask them, what are you doing naked? We are waiting for clothes. We got our numbers tattooed, registered. We are waiting for clothes to be brought out for work. And this word out was as a signal immediately, without to think any second, only look to right, to the left, no assessment to see, no capos, were the prisoners, functionaries. In the shadow of this block, the wall, I threw away these 3 terribly worn pieces of my clothes, the jackets, the shirt, and the trousers, and I put me in between these naked men. My good star, they didn't check that I had never been registered. I didn't get a number. If they would check this and keep me back, I wouldn't be here. Because a few days later, they took all inhabitants of this block 10, the youngsters. They decided that are not used to work, and brought them to the gas chamber, killed and burned. So these few steps saved my life, can I say.
What do you think about?
And we landed in another camp. I got know afterwards Groß Rosen in Polish Rogoźnica, in subcamp Dernau, called Polish Kolce, and that they asked for electricians. I said, I am an electrician, and I had the duty to work for the special project, Nazi project, Project Riese, in the old mountains. They bombed out big rooms in the mountains for future weapon factories, and all the electricians should take care of electricity for power for this future factories. So I have the group, the work group, Arbeitskommando, put on the poles, and I came up on the poles with special tools on my feet and mounted the isolators and the wires, so pole by pole. That was my work. That was my escaping from Auschwitz.
And you mentioned your mother waving goodbye to. Was that the last time you saw her?
We say in Latin, I'm a doctor, mens sana in corpore sano. It means mind is healthy in the healthy body. But because the body was far away from healthy, even our mind, our soul was not healthy. You can imagine a son of a lovely mother.
And lastly, are you afraid that the stories, the memories of Auschwitz and the Holocaust will be forgotten over time?
You see, it is seldom that the history of humanity has been so well documented, so well described in word and pictures, images. And still are people telling it didn't happen. It's only Zionistic propaganda to get money from the Germans. And then, and worse, that there are people who now, in a couple of years, the right wings parties begin to repeat the same slogans, the same ideas, the Nazi ideas. The Nazi ideas to take distance from others, to divide people in we and them, and this them treating as something lower, less word, and takes the right to decide over this. They think the other people. In Polish, the in the sort other art of people. So this is the first step to take say you are better than others, and take the right to decide about the other's life. And it's a way to the gas chamber to kill innocent people. This is the first step to have the position not friendly, but to take a stance from others.
So do you see some rhetoric, some conversations, some slogans in the current political climate that really instill fear in you?
This, even to divide people in different groups. We are all human beings. Of course, I'm not a mathematician. My life musical work from 1946 until today, I deal with this. Beethoven's violin concerto in D major, opus 61 and 61A. It was the piano version of this concerto. So, but I'm not a musician, but I like music. But it's a special talent to could write You met Imre when he got his Nobel Prize in Stockholm. Afterwards, I met him. He came to Auschwitz-Birkenau the same year as myself. He was 2 years younger than me, but he came from Budapest in this time, almost the same conditions as other Hungarian people. From gymnasium, he was a normal human being, and I came to Auschwitz after 4.5 years starving and after hard work. So he has another capability to see, to keep this, and then the special talent to put this on the paper. There was a big difference between us. I was 2 years younger. He got contact with grown-ups immediately, I not. So this is a big difference. He was in other condition than me.
A great privilege to speak with you, Mr. Leon Weintraub. Thank you again for making the time.